Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Sanjay Sardar, Vice President, Modernization and Digital Transformation at SAIC. Well, Sanjay, I'm going to hit you real quick here. You know, scalability of the cloud is a phrase that pops up on billboards all over town. I was at Metro Center last week, right in the middle of Metro Center. These big billboards all over with scalability. So what does scalability mean for our federal listeners?
So, yeah, and thank you for having me, John. So scalability is all over the place. Everybody's talking about scalability on the compute and storage side. So when you look at cloud computing, NIST actually defines several characteristics for what's considered cloud computing. So these characteristics include on-demand usage, multi-tenancy, ubiquitous access, resiliency, and primarily scalability. That scalability really means about how quickly I can add compute and storage power to anything that I'm doing, anything on the cloud platform. So think of it this way: when we run our applications in the morning, when you go in and you open up your applications, you're running Excel, you're running Windows, you're running Outlook, all the different applications that are out there, and then everything slows down compute power going into the tasks that you're trying to do on your computer. Now, think of that as, what if I could just add multiple computers for each application that's out there? That's scaling that application. So each application would have its own set of resources that it could use and perform. That way you'd never actually slow down. So that dynamic ability to add resources, add compute power, add storage, that's what scalability is. And that power that the cloud brings is very key to some of the things that we're doing today.
I think what's also key is not scaling for the sake of scaling. I think someone like SAIC, you can come in and analyze requirements and find out if maybe there's data sets that may need to scale and may not need to scale at all.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that we have to be careful about. Scalability today with the commercial providers and cloud providers that are out there, and to understand what scalability really means is, yes, it gives us lots of power. But think of it this way. When USDA, when the American farmer decides, or has to put in information for USDA, they go to the website, they start inputting information. Now, if every farmer does that all at the same time, which is common because they input data on cyclical periods, we have to add power. We have to add that compute and storage power to be able to accommodate all that data entry at the same time. So that ability to scale up is very important, but it comes at a cost. You are paying for all the things that you're doing. So agencies or organizations, as they scale up, they start paying more for what they're doing on the cloud platforms. Now, as that surge period is finished or complete, they don't need that anymore. They have to also understand how to contract and scale down. That's just as important, so you don't end up not using the resource correctly. Organizations like ours, SAIC, actually works with agencies to understand where these peak periods happen, how to scale up, how to scale down, look at all the resources that are available to you to then map out the right strategy.
Sanjay, you pick up a newspaper and you see cybersecurity everywhere. I would imagine whether you're going to scale or not scale, any kind of a modernization effort would have to include some type of concern for cybersecurity.
That's 100% correct, John. In today's world of dynamically evolving threats, cyber has to be a concern for every modernization effort. Cyber has to be built in. It's really got to be part of everything you're doing. And we're at a critical point where actors are using different methods to attack our government networks and federal networks. So we have to also be prepared for that. And things are happening where now automated methods are being used to attack these networks. How do we prevent against that? We also have to come up with automated ways of mitigating risks and preventing attacks from happening. So cyber is one of the key areas where we're looking into is how do we make this happen? Now, in the whole spectrum of things, as we get into this machine-to-machine play, which is using automated tools to prevent automated attacks, we're getting into this world of really trying to understand, well, where does the human analyst fit? And how are they involved in all of this? But the reality is, the use of tools will never obviate the need for human rationalization or rational thought. I use this example, what's called the minimal loss effect area. So pretend like you have a cyber effect happening or cyber threat happening. We can set up tools that'll automatically, understand what the threat is and then try to mitigate against it. But if the optimal solution is to cut off a network, prevent anything else from happening in that network, that might be the optimal solution. But what if that network supported our warfighters who are in hostile territory trying to complete a mission? Should we shut that off? Yeah, there's a minimal loss in the sense that we would still protect our networks, but that might compromise what they're doing. There's a multitude of decision factors that go into making decisions like that, where our automatic analysis can happen, but we also need that human analysis or human intervention to play in.
So you have to balance automation with human analytical skills as well.
Absolutely. I think where we are getting is these cyber tools and these automated tools are actually helping us make decisions faster, but it ultimately is still the human that has to make that decision.
We're going to pause for a short break here. My guest today is Sanjay Sardar, Vice President, Modernization and Digital Transformation at SAIC. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy, on the discussion, bringing clarity to the disruptive chaos of IT modernization, sponsored by SAIC on Federal News Radio, part of Federal News Network.